And now, the general weather around Alaska.
First graphic here showing warnings and advisories out. We've got high wind warning and blizzard warnings out here for the northwest coast, Arctic coast, and at least the central north slope westward, but the high wind warning extending across the eastern Arctic coast as well. And we've got a wind advisory out for the upper Tanana Valley 40-mile country there for winds increasing with gusts of 40 miles an hour later tonight and actually through tomorrow and tomorrow night. And wind and winter weather advisories here for the Yukon Delta, St. Lawrence Island, Seward Peninsula, on up into the lower Koyukuk and Kobuk Valley areas there for snow and blowing snow continuous, some areas of mixed precipitation. And from there, looking at satellite imagery, here's the cloud mass associated with the warm front that's bringing the strong winds, snow and blowing snow into the area here. It's really much more of a wind producer than it is precipitation producer. But some snow down to a quarter-mile visibility at times today at Kotzebue there with strong winds as high as 55 miles an hour. But much weaker, mostly just clouds here in the southern portion with high clouds spreading into the central interior areas, high cirrus, and cold over the east side, well below zero the entire day here from the Arctic Valley area all the way down in toward the Copper River Basin, and cold and windy southern Alaska here, Prince William Sound into the Copper River Basin. Still some snow showers with some clouds. It's hard to see here on the imagery along the North Gulf Coast. Big storm, intense storm down there south of Vancouver Island, spreading moisture up toward the Queen Charlottes, and then a band, kind of a trough here, spreading some showers and clouds into the southern panhandle. Putting that through again, you can see that moisture kind of lifting northwestward and then pulling back to the west a little bit there. Big mass of clouds here coming in with that warm front here with the main system still back up over the Russian Far East. Kind of outlines a big ridge of high pressure out here over the Bering Sea quite nicely here, with moisture coming up from the south-southeast, turning south and then up and over the top and into the eastern, right into the central interior. On the, today, strong winds. Cape Lisburne earlier today had a peak wind gust of 93 miles per hour. Red Dog Dock there on the northwest coast, 77 miles per hour. And then down across the state there, Prince William Sound, Valdez had a peak wind gust of 71 miles per hour this afternoon. And Palmer earlier today had 69 miles per hour. And from there, looking at the surface map here, you can see the gradient here across the North Gulf Coast, actually from the northern panhandle into the Matanuska Valley, producing those strong winds. Winds coming down, though, here for south central Alaska, Palmer, and into the Anchorage area with still windy conditions there, northeast Bristol Bay. Then very tight gradient here with a low center that's tracking up toward Wrangel Island, but that warm front there in advance of it. Again, those strong winds, snow and blowing snow occurring, becoming mixed precipitation along the southern Seward Peninsula. Temperatures rising above freezing, actually above freezing temperatures even into the north side of Chishmaref there. And then just a weak trailing edge bringing a little bit of moisture along the southwest coast with strong high pressure over Bristol Bay. This strong high sliding into the Yukon and a strong high here over the eastern Aleutians. And that high tonight holds pretty much stationary there. That's going to keep this moisture out to the west, continue to direct it up to the northeast there. This low center develops and moves into the western Chukchi Sea here tonight with that warm front lifting off the Arctic coast there. So drier conditions here, but still very windy over the northwest interior. Actually, the Brooks Range all the way up to the eastern Arctic coast. Eventually, winds will start to pick up here around, say, Eagle and the upper Tanana Valley areas. Winds, as I mentioned, diminishing here, will continue to diminish for the North Gulf Coast, south central Alaska, Kodiak Island, light winds but clear skies. Southeast coast, a lot of lines on the chart here. That means a lot of winds out of the northeast, cold, dry winds with clearing skies now all the way down into Dixon Entrance. This strong low staying to the south and doesn't move much for tomorrow, keeping a chance of rain to Queen Charlotte's, but the southeast coast here under the influence of this strong high pressure area over the Yukon, strong northeast winds over the northern panhandle with windy conditions all the way down to Prince of Wales Island area. Not a bad day here over southern Alaska, still on the chilly side, but temperatures aloft at higher elevations going to start warming up, not so much tomorrow, but more on Thursday and Friday. And this front weakening as it pulls into the interior, another trough bringing another round of increased wind and snow for the western Arctic coast with gusty gale force winds for the entire Arctic coast tomorrow. And this high pressure just west of Kuskokwim Bay covering and dominating much of the southeastern Bering Sea, Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, again will hold all this moisture out to the west. That'll continue into Thursday as well, even though this high weakens, kind of slips to the south there. New low develops, brings rain into the areas from about Adak westward to Shimianatu. Wind's not much of a factor with that system. And a weak boundary about all that's left with that system up here to the north, and another weak low here developing over toward just south of Old Crow there with some areas of light snow and clouds along that front. To the north, a lot better conditions, much lighter winds, Arctic coast, really light and variable winds for the north slope into the Brooks Range area with clearing skies. Stays pretty nice here across southern Alaska. Still a little chilly here, but winds a lot lighter, light and variable. A lot of clearing expected over the southeastern Bering Sea, eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. Clear skies, light winds, maximum daytime sunshine, Kodiak Island. And winds starting to come down here for the southeast coast, but it stays dry and chilly. And for the lows tonight, they're 10 to 20 for the northern panhandle, depending on the wind, and lower 30s to the south. Below zero again, central eastern interior, but warmer here to the west. Lows in the lower 30s for the Seward Peninsula, mid 30s St. Lawrence Island and the Pribilofs. Much warmer here for the Arctic coast. And then the highs tomorrow into the teens or into the 20s here, south central Alaska, and up around zero now, even on the east side there, with mid-teens in the Tanana Valley. And mid-30s out toward the Seward Peninsula area, upper 30s St. Lawrence Island, and in the 30s here for the Arctic coast, and highs in the lower 20s for the northern panhandle, lower 30s down to the south. And then we've got highs for, Thursday morning lows, again, a little below zero here, maybe 10 to 15 below North Waytoke into the Copper River Basin. About the same up there, Yukon Flats to Arctic Village. Otherwise, single numbers for the Arctic coast and North Slope. Mild conditions here to the west and southwest by comparison, with mostly in the 20s. And then the highs on Thursday afternoon, mid-20s, northern southeast coast, in the 30s to the south, and now 40s showing up here. Seward, Homer, Seldovia, upper 20s, lower 30s, south central Alaska, with mid-40s for Kodiak Island and the Alaska Peninsula there. Not too bad in the interior, highs in the 20s, single numbers for the Brooks Range, and 10 to 15 for the North Slope and Arctic coast.